The newlywed daughter-in-law picked through the food, reluctantly chose a piece, and even spat it out. In the end, she simply threw down her bowl and chopsticks and turned to leave. He eats every day, but what he doesn't know is that his father-in-law, unable to wait for him to have breakfast together, just had some porridge with pickles before going to work. The mother-in-law sighed repeatedly, tears welling up in her eyes, not daring to say much, for fear of offending the daughter-in-law who was brought in with borrowed money. When the son found out, he flew into a rage.
With your kind want to sell the bride price. If those happy give it, and you have no money, don't marry a wife. You dare to hit me? Even if you hit me, I won't stay with you, but it's not too bad.
Over a month ago, in early December, Choche, the parents tricked their son into coming home by claiming they were sick. It was only after he got home that the man found out.
This was specifically to get him back for a matchmaking meeting. Everyone is pairing up. Why are you in such a hurry? You're already in your late 20s. And even the younger brother from the second uncle's family, who is younger than you, is already married. You tell me, how can I not be anxious? That suggestion, it's really good. The young girl's conditions are excellent. But it didn't work out. She didn't even come. When I went to visit, I asked if she had eaten.
Ah? Your family is urging a man named Shunzi in his early 20s who lives in a rural area of southwestern Shandong. After graduating, he works at an old auto repair shop, earning over 2,000 a month. At this age, he shouldn't be in such a rush. But here, there are more men than women, and if you reach a certain age without getting married, others see it as a failure. Unable to resist his parents' repeated persuasion, Shunzi agreed and handed over his 30,000 yuan salary. Early the next morning, the parents were busy dressing up their son, repeatedly reminding him to be generous and smart. When visiting the girl's family, they told him to buy a couple of extra packs of cigarettes at the supermarket to avoid being laughed at. Once everything was ready, Shunzi drove with his father, led by his aunt. That afternoon, the girl was meeting 4 boys for matchmaking, and Shunzi was the third. Upon meeting, the parents exchanged simple pleasantries, while Shunzi served tea and water, chatted about work, and discussed the future. It wasn't long before the aunt came in to remind them to give candies to the onlookers, while pulling her aside and quietly reminding her that the girl is called Xiaomei, the one wearing white. After making the rounds, the 2 young people had at least seen each other. Next, the girl's representative led her to the living room to serve water, which was essentially to let the boys' parents have a look. If neither side has any objections, they let the 2 kids chat alone in a room. Before long, this meeting came to an end. The 4 matchmaking sessions went relatively smoothly, and the girl's parents gathered to decide on a candidate, but that kid wasn't quite right. With all the chatter, it's back to work. You see, for the child, you can look anywhere. Based on his appearance, job, the cigarettes he smokes, the car he drives, and his character, Shunzi successfully stood out among the 4 candidates, and the 2 families quickly moved on to discussing the bride price. Regarding this, Xiaomei's mother was firm, demanding a bride price of 200,000 yuan, plus a house in the city and a car. Auntie initially wanted to negotiate a bit, but didn't expect Xiaomei's mom to be so adamant. She insisted that the demand for a car and house didn't start with their family. Everyone asks for it, and if they don't, others will laugh at them. While they don't need to buy a ready-made apartment now, it must be purchased after marriage. There was no room for negotiation on anything else. If they didn't agree, they would just find another family. No one was going to negotiate on this. My daughter is so desirable that there are people lined up to marry her. This time, the discussion ended on a sour note. Xiaomei's mom, munching on sunflower seeds, went out for a stroll, completely ignoring the strict professional matchmaker's attempts to inflate the bride price. Helplessly, Xiaoyi had to truthfully convey the bride price demands to Shunzi's mom, who immediately looked worried. We're just farmers. Where would we get that much money? Maybe we should wait until next year to bring her home, Shunzi's dad flatly refused and decisively agreed. This matter can't be delayed. But if we delay, things will go wrong. Even if we have to borrow, we must bring the new bride home as soon as possible to prevent any unforeseen issues. For this reason, Shunzi's family scraped together money and went into debt. They even sold their cattle to gather enough for the bride price. On the wedding eve, the bride's family demanded that the wedding must include the 3 golds before the end of the year, totaling nearly 100,000. The cattle were sold and money was borrowed. To ensure their son could marry before the end of the year, the elderly couple gritted their teeth and borrowed a bit more, even at the cost of their dignity. They also sold all the grain they had at home to gather enough money. In this way, with the matchmaker's arrangement and the assurance of the bride price, the young couple became husband and wife in less than a month. After the wedding, Xiao Mei stayed at her in-laws' home and didn't go out to work anymore. She wouldn't get up even when the sun was high in the sky. Xunzi's parents initially wanted to have breakfast with their daughter-in-law, but after waiting for a long time without seeing her, the father had to eat some porridge with pickles and then went out to do odd jobs. At 10 in the morning, Xiao Mei got up, and her mother-in-law served her porridge along with tomato scrambled eggs and garlic stir-fried meat. Xiao Mei sat down, checked her phone, picked at the food, and then threw down the bowl and chopsticks. She complained a couple of times and then turned around and left. The mother-in-law sighed repeatedly, not daring to speak. When Xunzi found out, he flew into a rage and couldn't help but argue with Xiao Mei, saying, "With someone like you, we had to pay so much in bride price and spent so much money to marry an ancestor to worship." Xiao Mei was very dissatisfied upon hearing this, retorting that the high bride price was willingly given, and if you don't have money, don't get married. During the argument, the two of them got into a physical altercation and the girl ran back to her parents' home crying. Seeing her daughter being mistreated, Xiao Mei's mother was very angry and started cursing, complaining that no one in Xunzi's family was sensible. She said, "You can't just let people get drunk and blame the child. Does your daughter have any faults? Why do you keep shouting?"
Your parents talk. I neither lived with thou nor gifted them. The whole family is involved in this traffic issue, and they gave old Wang a hard time, infuriated me.
Meanwhile, Xunzi's family was also in chaos. The mother felt very guilty, blaming herself for not taking good care of her daughter-in-law. She advised Xunzi to have a better attitude and persuade Xiao Mei to come back and live a good life. After all, no couple lives without some friction. But Xunzi couldn't swallow his pride. He threatened to end it and divorce Xiao Mei, which made his mother shout in anger. "What nonsense are you talking about? You think you can just divorce like that? It was incredibly difficult to find you a wife, and we haven't even paid off the debts yet. If you divorce, how will we continue living? Getting divorced right after getting married? Who would dare to marry you in the future? It's all on me."
Isn't that all my fault? If I didn't take good care of the child, how is that your fault? You marry a wife to serve and worship her like an ancestor, doing nothing, being lazy, sleeping in every day. Have you ever gone? If you don't go, I will. If you don't go, I'll die to show you. If you don't go, I will.
Sigh, I get up. Feeling helpless, Xunzi had no choice but to buy some things and go apologize in person. Unexpectedly, as soon as he entered the door, he was scolded, and the fruits were thrown all over the floor.
You see him? Go home. We are here. Hurry up. You hear? I can accept him.
You don't even know which nose is yours these 3 days, do you? The mother-in-law was relentless, so Xunzi's mother and aunt went together to apologize, taking turns to mediate and smooth things over. The other party reluctantly agreed, allowing Xunzi and Xiao Mei to communicate privately and reconcile. On that endless-looking path outside the village, the two walked side by side, gradually moving further away. From beginning to end, their hands never held each other. Some say that marriage shouldn't require a bride price, that exorbitant bride prices are akin to selling a daughter. Others say that a bride price is necessary, and not having one would lead to the groom's family looking down on them. Moreover, this money will come back to support the new household when they get married. The bride price is like a chasm lying between the families of the man and woman, insurmountable and difficult to reconcile.